latest that I heard is about 40 faculty members have left since the transition, representing about 40% of faculty on campus. And so I guess how is that sort of a reflection of the college moving in the right direction?
The numbers aren't accurate. If you look at the people who have left the campus, our last number I saw was 36. We did a breakdown. Some are resignations, some are retirements, and some are people that take leaves of absence. Well, if you go through that, I want to say all but 9 happened or were decided prior to anything happening at the college. So it couldn't be a reflection on us because these were people making the decision in September, October, November, long before January 6th when there was a new set of board of trustees. So technically, only about 9 or 10 of them would have been, you could have attributed it to that. The other ones you couldn't because they turned in their paperwork saying, I'm going to do a leave of absence and go to Italy. But the bigger question is, what are we doing with faculty now? Mm-hmm. Because of the changes, because of us saying we are going to be the new college of old, we are going to be a great place of free speech where you can come, you can teach the heck out of your students, and you have true academic freedom. We have applications, Katie, from around the country. But because we started in March and April and May, a lot of those faculty said, I'm coming, I'm going to send you my resume if it all works out, but I can't do it right now because I've already signed a commitment for the next year. They all make their commitments way earlier than this. But I make no mistake about it, we have Stanley Fish, one of the, I would always jokingly say he's a Michael Jordan of academia. Great faculty coming in and teaching this year. We created a economics professor from George Mason, history professor from Alabama. We have great faculty. We've written about the great faculty. But just like our students, everyone says, oh, your students are down. We have record enrollment by almost 30% in 63-year history at a time when you didn't have, again, that most kids make their decision in January and February. We're recruiting March, April, and May. So now we have a whole year of recruiting. I think next year's class will be closer to 500. I think we'll bring in another 25 or 30 additional faculty members, a who's who from the greatest elitist colleges from around the country. I think both of those are true.
But that hasn't happened yet. And so for the faculty...
It has. I think we're up to, give or take, I'd have to check with our provost. We're at probably 30 new hires for this fall.
And so have you had to cancel classes?
No, 0. Not
no
one,
classes have been canceled?
No, this is
no TBAs?
No,
So
nothing.
that's inaccurate?
Absolutely inaccurate. Every single student will be able to take the courses they want.
So students who have said, we spoke to a student this morning whose philosophy class he found out was canceled.
No. I don't even know the specifics of that. There is not a single issue with our course load coming this fall or spring. In fact, we've added 2 great new courses where all the students get to participate together. It's a shared experience, and one is going to be on the Odyssey, and it's a fantastic course, and then we're doing a data literacy course. And that's where we're moving. We're moving to this intersection of liberal arts and technology, and our graduates will be more prepared than any other graduate from any other school in the country.
Okay, so it's not just going to be a liberal arts college.
It is a liberal arts college.
College is going to be...
No, we're a liberal arts college right now.
Right.
Do we have computer science? Do we have data science? Do we have a data science master's program? Of course. Do liberal arts colleges around the country have that? What we're saying is that every student should have a basis in both. That doesn't happen in liberal arts colleges around the country. That's what's going to make our liberal arts country the best in the country.
And in terms of faculty that remain, even the director of the gender studies program, who, as you know, has been outspoken and not afraid to talk to the media. I mean, is there plans? Is her job safe? Are there plans to get rid of faculty who aren't mission aligned?
Our statement from the get-go is we're about addition, and all of those folks. I think there was only one faculty member that was specific to gender studies. The faculty member you're referring to is a French teacher, still teaching French at New College. There's only one gender studies professor, and he resigned. All the other faculty either have resigned or gone on a leave of absence on their own accord, and again, probably 2/3 of them long before there was ever a transition of the trustees in January 6th. We will be a model for free speech for our professors and our academics and for our students moving forward, second to none. And it hasn't happened here, Katie. What we should be talking about is how did we get such a wonderful, historically great liberal arts school that has produced some of the greatest graduates? How did we get to the point that they couldn't get past 600 enrollment, they couldn't get past rarely 200 new classes every single year, and that the number one reason kids left, which we lead the state university system in, come and leave, the number one reason is because somewhere around cancel culture. They identify as liberals and got canceled. That's why this school was literally in deep, deep trouble. That's why the legislature was looking at it. That's why everyone was looking, move it here, cancel it, whatever. What we are doing is saying New College was once built on intellectual, unique, great students on a classical liberal arts curriculum. If we go back there, we will be extremely, extremely successful. That's the issue. We have to have that. It has to have true free speech. We can't have cancel culture. We can't have safe zones. All of that's going away, and we're going to create a wonderful environment for our students.
So if you talk cancel culture and safe zones, that's not the kind of free speech that's allowed at New College.
That is not free speech. That is de facto not free speech.
To them.
It is not free speech. Cancel culture says you cannot have an opinion. What we're saying is everyone can have whatever opinion they want. They just have to engage civilly in that discourse. That's all we're saying. We will be the champion of free speech. Nobody else will come close to us.
But you took out the transgender identifying signs off the bathroom.
No, it's, you see today we get articles and it says that these are paid student ambassadors who are taking students around, and there's some of them were wearing pins. The pins were Black Lives Matter, whatever it might be. And we said, take off your pins. Why? Because these are 17 and 18-year-old kids. I have 3. I've dropped 3 kids off at college, 2 hours away. It's not fun. It's not fun for the parents. It's not fun for the student. It's a very difficult time period. And so we say to our paid student ambassadors, we say, our job is to make those students feel as welcome as possible. Our job is to make them feel like they're still at home. There's a home here. And so what we do is no pins. I don't care if it's NRA. Would everyone be okay if we had NRA pins or pro-life pins or Trump pins? No pins. Make them feel welcomed, have them on campus. But here's the beauty of New College. If you want to wear all the pins you want on your own time, not as a paid employee of the college, have at it. Have at it. And the only thing we say at that point in time is just engage civilly with people. Have that civil discourse. Have those debates. You should have those debates about those questions. That's wonderful. That's education done right. That's what we will do.
You mentioned about student enrollment, that you guys have reached records in new student enrollment this year. A significant portion of those new students are athletes. So is that sort of the path forward for New College in attracting new students?
Did you go to a liberal arts school?
I went to University of Florida.
Okay. Name me a great liberal arts school. Any liberal arts school in the country.
Harvard.
Sports?
Yes.
Name me another one.
Yeah.
I can do this all day long,
right.
Katie. I'm just saying, every single liberal arts school you think of, every single one has sports. And of that, their student body population sits around 30%. Even a Princeton's at 20, 25%. Every single one of them, Williams, Amherst, name the great liberal arts colleges, the Naval Academy, the Air Force Academy, the West Point, all have sports. And they all sit around 30% of their students are athletes. That doesn't mean we're going to sacrifice one iota of excellence. And what we're doing is bringing another component of a great liberal arts education to campus. And yes, or if you look at our business plan that we've written, never been one before that is that detailed, that visionary ever before. That's why this campus has had, in essence, I hate to say something a little bit negative, but the leadership has been lacking. And had you had that vision, had you gone to the Board of Governors, gone to the legislature to say, this is what we can do. And one of those things we can do is just like those other great liberal arts schools, we can have 30% of our students be athletes. And that's a great, wonderful thing and a real component of a great liberal arts school.
And so at this point, do you have the approval necessary for these students to participate in collegiate sports? NIA, NCAA?
So right now, it's a process. Every school that's done it, every school that's added sports, including all of the ones in the Sun Conference, which we're applying for, you apply to the conference. The conference we're applying to is the NAIA. We apply to them. They've come. They've done a campus visit. It could not have gone better. I can't, we'll find out October 1st. I'm 100% confident we'll be a full-fledged member of the NAIA, and we're doing a club season this year with them. Tons of the Sun Conference teams are playing us. Next year, hopefully, we'll be competing as a member of the Sun Conference, without question.
Is it a little risky, though, to recruit students, promise them a certain program that you don't actually have official approval for?
No, that's the way every school does it. We're not doing it any differently than any other school that's gone into a conference.
That's
the process.
The students and their parents are fully aware.
Of course.
And there's no facilities.
We have high intellectual students. I'm pretty sure they figure out that we're not in a conference right now, but we are applying to a conference, and I'm pretty sure they're as confident as we are that we will be in that conference.
And what about facilities? Where
But
is the
that nice
baseball
thing is
team
that's
practicing, the soccer team?
this is the beauty of it. Guess who is literally less than 10 minutes from our campus? IMG, the absolute
Oh,
world giant of sports. Might be the greatest sports facility of any place internationally. It's 10 minutes up the road, and we're working with them on facilities. We're working with Manatee State College for the basketball facilities. When the NAI came, first thing they want to do, okay, where are you guys playing? Show us your facilities. Took them to IMG, took them to the high school, took them to Manatee State College, and one of the folks said to me, you already have facilities better than half of our teams in our conference.
what's the sell to parents? And I ask that because I'm the parent of a student athlete, and I see this and I say, okay, wait, would I risk my child's education to sort of be a guinea pig, right? I mean, there's an excitement, don't get me wrong, to being part of a program and helping to build it, but my kid's only my kid for so long, and he only has so many years to craft and perfect his sports skill and ability. What's the sell? How are you selling parents?
This is easy. I would tell you, I'll tell you right now, Katie, the best education. Yes, we're going to have sports. Yes, we're going to have brand new facilities. Yes, we're on the water and it's beautiful. Yes, we're still in Florida. All of those things are yes, yes, yes. A lot of schools can say something comparable. The reason you should come here, and the reason New College has been historically great, is we provide a liberal arts education that is second to none. And now we're taking that education, we're building upon it with the faculty, with all of the folks here, and we're doing that intersection of liberal arts and technology. Steve Jobs went to a liberal arts school. He was the first $1 trillion market cap company in the history of mankind, and they asked him why. Why not Bill Gates and Microsoft or any of these other guys, Oracle? He said, because we live at that intersection. At that intersection of liberal arts and technology, that's where your heart sings. And it's an education that teaches you to be a great leader, a great spouse, a great community leader. Wrestle with those great questions of time. Your son or daughter will come here and be afforded an education that when he's 30, 40, 50, 60, he'll look back and draw upon the lessons he learned on this campus for whatever struggles, whatever adversity he sees or meets. He'll be prepared for those answers. And take any done right, liberal arts done right, which we will do it absolutely perfectly as we have in the past. Guess how many people in the corporate suites in America? What's the #1 degree of a majority of the corporate suite CEOs? Liberal arts. I could do this, go to the Board of Governors. It's a who's who of Florida. What's the majority of degrees on that Board of Governors? People worth $100 million, $1 billion, liberal arts degrees. A liberal arts degree teaches you to lead. It teaches you to face adversity, wrestle with those great questions, be a great critical thinker. And your son will never get it better, or daughter, than right here at New College.
We're also hearing that these student athletes are getting first dibs at some of the housing that should have gone to upperclassmen. What do you?
It's just not true. So first of
Well, I
all,
met one this morning
I'll,
who
I'll,
was promised a dorm in
I'll,
one building and was then.
it's easy answer. First of all, we're a residential college. Of the university system, we're in statutorily residential. Of that, we have to offer first and second year students housing. Have to. Third and fourth year, we can give them the option. We should need to provide it for them, but we can give them the option to live off campus. So when we have a housing crisis, because we have decades-long air quality issues and mold issues in 200 plus of our beds that have never been shut down by prior administrations, I would never let your child go into one of those dorms. I wouldn't put my own children in one of those dorms. So we shut down 200 beds. In addition, we add a record enrollment that's never been achieved before in the 63 history of the school. Those two things, record enrollment, good thing, shutting down bad dorms, good thing, caused us to need to have alternative housing. When we do that, the first thing we have to do statutorily is prioritize first years and second years. And then we can give flexibility to third and fourth years. And every single student that has been given one of the hotels that we've partnered with who are absolutely fantastic. A shout out to Home 2 Suites, shout out to Hyatt Place. Could not have been greater partners, and their rooms are luxury rooms compared to our existing dorms. And if we were, you went to University of Florida, I got news for you, Katie. The walk from those hotels to this campus is shorter than any walk you made at University of Florida. It's still right here, literally boarding us, USF campus, our hotel.
Mhm. Is there transportation though to
Of
some of the farther ones? Okay.
Of course. I get that question a lot.
I mean, I feel like so. What everything that's been written about recently is that all? That's all wrong. That's based
Yeah.
on
Why don't you
fallacies.
why
I
don't
mean,
you,
I
why,
just.
why don't you come every Friday and interview me, and I'll tell you the truth, not the rhetoric.
Hmm.
Facts matter, Katie. Facts matter.
All
And
right, let's talk
and the
about
facts
facts.
are we're doing something special.
Let's talk about your salary. Nearly $700,000 base salary, more than double the previous president, significantly higher than presidents of much larger colleges, even among the top 30 highest paid college presidents in the country. You have a fraction of the students. You're not even here full time. You're not even the permanent, I should say, president. Why are you getting paid so much?
I think that's a question for the trustees. You can ask any of the trustees. They're the people that make that decision. So if you want to ask the
But
trustees,
you didn't have to accept it.
I absolutely would accept it. So would you.
And if you get the full-time, the permanent position as president, will you be asking for more money?
Well, you're much more thoroughly optimistic. I like your thought process, and when that point in time comes, I'm sure I'll sit down and work with the trustees on what that looks like next. But you know, honestly, I think if you talk to the trustees, you know what new colleges never had? Over 300 enrollment. You know what they've never had? $50 million in a calendar year. I think the trustees know what they're doing.
I want to talk about the Board of Trustees. You know, there are some figures on that board that are pretty controversial and go to social media and sort of seem to kind of stir up the pot. Have you sort of found yourself, or how are you making sure that the board and some of these more specific controversial figures, Chris Rufo, for example, are not creating more challenges for you and the college?
All right, first, I just want to dissect what you're saying a little bit, Katie. Controversial figures. You've said it numerous times. Who's the second one?
Well, Matthew Spalding has
What has he said or tweeted?
he's gone on Twitter.
Anything you can tell me?
You know what? I don't have him written
It's not
down,
real.
but
It's not real. So let's just say what you're really talking about is Chris Rufo.
either way, he's caused. Look, at the end of the day, he
I
hasn't
get it. I'm
made
just saying
your
facts
job
matter.
easier.
I'm just saying,
And
you
so,
want to talk about
well,
Chris
the
Rufo.
fact
Chris
is
Rufo,
he hasn't made your job easier in terms of
what has,
simmering down the tension
what,
and the hostility
all
on
right.
campus. And so, what are you
I
doing,
want you
and
to
how
tell
are you
me,
making sure?
let's do it factually.
Sure.
What comment did Christopher Rufo make that causes you concern?
Well, months ago it was, you know, we're over the walls, sort of, you know, alluding to, yeah, we're like now the siege has been taken over by us, right? So right away, that's a very divisive comment. Good news, the, you know, new college's only gender professor has resigned, and the program abolished. Again, just sort of a, you know, combative kind of, let's celebrate somebody's loss. And so,
I think, you know, what Chris is saying, which is, you know, Good to Great is a great book. It's considered one of the best leadership books ever written by Jim Collins. And early in the book, he says, in order to succeed, in order to do something wonderful and great that's bigger than any of us, bigger than Chris Rufo, bigger than me, bigger than you, bigger than the gender studies program, is creating the best liberal arts college in the country. And what Chris is saying is, let's confront the brutal facts. The brutal facts are, this was a school, which numerous people, not my rhetoric, this is alumni rhetoric, that New College was a school that was circling the drain. Circling the drain. If we were not public, if we were not heavily subsidized by the state, we would have closed just like the other hundreds of liberal arts schools that have closed in the last 10 years because it's a dying model unless we do it right. And what Chris is saying is this is exciting. We're take it in the most favorable light. I tell that to faculty all the time. Can we start from this point? Can we just believe the best? If Chris says we're over the walls, can we believe the best and interpret it in the most positive light possible? And it's the same for faculty, it's the same for the opposition. When I get people saying that we're not here and we're not this and it's not factual, I'm going to believe the best that their heart wants what all of us want, and that is that thing that is bigger than us, way bigger than us, and that is a great liberal arts school, the New College of old. We want that again. And I
have
think
you had to have a conversation with him saying,
no,
hey,
Chris Rufo is a brilliant guy. I know Chris Rufo's heart, and he's 100% in support of making this the New College of old. And and he's been an invaluable asset.
you've used the term mission aligned. What does that mean? What does mission aligned mean?
In my interview, I was asked a question. I can't remember the exact question. I think that's the only time I've used the phrase. Is that what you're talking about, Katie?
I've heard the phrase either between you or Chris Rufo, actually.
Well, I think someone had asked about whether there's a board of trustees vacancy, and they were asking, are we going to choose someone that's, you know, against, you know, this movement back to the traditional New College of old, this classical
But
liberal
what
arts
does that
school?
mean? Somebody against that?
That they don't believe
Define
that's
that.
what we should do. I think there's two camps, Katie. There really are. And we have to own it. I'll own it, but I don't think some of the opposition owns it. Do you want New College, which it was in the past, to be the greatest liberal arts school of all time? And to do that, you have to be dead center. If you're not dead center, if a student like you or me or your children or my children are not exposed to both sides, they're not going to have a perfect search of truth. They need to be exposed to that. That's the best liberal arts school you can be. If you're one way or the other, and everyone will say, there's no disputing it, New College lost its way, went off center, and is very traditionally left. Princeton just came out with their rankings, and they said, what is a New College campus life like? They are hardcore liberals, literally in their assessment. It's a hardcore liberal campus. And I think what we're all trying to do is get to that beautiful, wonderful place that's bigger than us. Dead center, perfect liberal arts school. As best as we possibly can, the best in the country. I think a lot of people who are the opposition, what they really want and won't vocalize is they want a very liberal arts school. Well, you're never going to be the best, and you're going to struggle, and you're going to circle the drain just like they have. We're not going there. And so a lot of those people say, hey, put some of those people on there. And it's like, the answer is no. You have to be mission aligned. And that mission alignment is, do you want to create, as it was in the day, high intellectual performing kids who come to a school, it's dead center, it's exposed to both sides, it has real free speech, it doesn't have a cancel culture, and it becomes the best in the country. That's mission aligned.
And so faculty, as you guys recruit new faculty, are you looking for, so liberal and conservative views are welcomed
Yeah,
among
faculty?
faculty?
We have 3 division chairs. We've recruited, I said, give or take 30. This morning I got some more candidates for a visiting professorship. Those lines, our whole shared governance starts with the faculty. We open it with the provost. They open up lines. Those lines go to the division chairs. They send out searches. Those resumes come in. We can submit resumes, but it goes through the same process. You could submit a resume. Hey, this guy's interested in New College because of what he's hearing, how wonderful it's going to be. And it goes through those lines. Then those lines narrow it down, and we approve or disapprove. And so if you look at the hires that I've written about, most of all of them, except for a few that the faculty came up with the idea for me. I didn't come up with it. I'm not a natural academic. And they said, hey, if you want to have some other folks, like this Stanley Fish is brilliant. I would even sit in a class with Stanley Fish. But why don't we do this? Why don't we create a presidential scholar? Other schools have them. Make him a presidential scholar. We'll welcome with open arms. All of these faculty that we're hiring are going through that process. And generally speaking, in America, faculty, generally speaking, are center left. We don't ask. We just ask, if you're coming to New College, can you get behind this bigger than you vision of being a dead center, great college or university that teaches the heck out of the kids from both angles, and we have true free speech, and they're coming.
In terms of
And the faculty are the ones that are driving that.
And in terms of the permanent job, why do you want it?
I cannot think. People have asked me this question. Literally, the bulk of my life, Katie, has been in public service. I mean, I'm a practicing attorney by trade. My wife's a practicing attorney by trade. That's how we've made our living. But public service, I have 2 parents. I don't want to, belabor it. Both grew up in the Great Depression. My mom was British. My dad was here. Both grew up in foster homes or foster care or orphanages. Both went to World War II and served. My mom served in World War II in the Blitz in London in the Women's Auxiliary Force. My dad served in the U.S. Army Air Force. And there was very little time in the house where they didn't say there's no greater honor than to go out there and lay your life down for others. And you ought to know what your philosophy is, and you ought to go out there, and you ought to do everything you can to ensure that people don't have to go what we went through. They don't have to grow up in orphanages. They don't have to go through the Great Depression, and they don't have to go to world wars. And so there's no better way to ensure that happens than giving kids one heck of a great education. And that's what New College will do, and that's what New College has done.
I appreciate your answer about the mission aligned and sort of dead center, but that's not what even we've heard from the governor. I mean, the governor went to Hillsdale College and just touted and laughed on, oh, hey, we're creating a Florida version of Hillsdale College. And so that we know is not a dead center college. And so how do you square that with the governor's
I don't know what
comments
again
about Hillsdale?
I'm not here. I'm here to talk about New College, But I would just say
But he described
there's
New College as being
but
a
you're
little
describing
Hillsdale
Hillsdale. I would not
college.
agree with the description. My point with the
Well, it's
governor
the governor's
is the
word.
governor says, and the governor has done more for education in this state than any previous governor. And I was honored to be his commissioner of education for 4 full sessions where we did more. We rewrote our standards to ensure kids got better grades. We eliminated the FSA test and created a new progress monitoring exam that ensures kids get better exams. We ensured kids, if they wanted to voluntarily go to school, they had a seat for themselves, which is why, while the other 49 states are plummeting in the National Assessment of Education Progress, Florida's holding its own and going to the top. The governor absolutely, just like I just said to you, recognizes if you want to change a society, all the great philosophers have said it. Every single one, some version of it, show me how you're educating your youth, and I'll tell you your country's future. I'll tell you what it looks like. And what if you went back over the last 40 years and looked how we were educating our youth and looked what was happening on college campuses, you could say this is where you're going to end up. We're going to fix that, and the governor's going to fix that. And what he has done for New College is more than any of the other governors combined and setting us on that course to be the new college of old. That is great and wonderful.
Okay, but he has not described New College as this dead center,
I think
mission
I've
aligned.
talked to the governor a ton, and he's always 100% mission aligned.
Do you have sort of a quota with him on enrollment, student enrollment?
No, it's not. Well, the governor's who's asked us for that discussion. If you go back to look at the last Board of Governors meeting, all the university systems, all 12 of us, are regulated by a Board of Governors. That Board of Governors a month ago met, talked about New College, talked about the metrics because we get performance funding. And what I was trying to politely say to him was, these performance metrics aren't fair because they're not measuring us on what the metric is intended to. We're getting measured on something else that was not intended, and we shouldn't be penalized for that millions of dollars. They basically said, let's do this. You come back to us, create a business plan, this vision that you're working on, give it to us, we'll work through it with you, and we'll evaluate. And they definitely are looking at enrollment metrics because what has happened in the past, Katie, is New College went to the legislature, went to the governor of old and said, give us $6 million, $7 million, $8 million, and we will use it to hire more faculty, and those faculty will increase enrollment and we'll go to 1,200 kids. They got the money in 16. I was appropriations chair and was all for it because I love the liberal arts. Absolutely granted it. They got that money, and each successive year after that, instead of going up to 1,200, they went down to 600 in enrollment from 800. An abject failure. And so what the Board of Governors wants from us is reassurances. And the best one we can give them right out of the gate was what has never been accomplished in a 63-year history. We accomplished at a time of controversy, at a time of, like you said earlier, where you would think, I don't want to go here. I'm not going to send my kid to be a guinea pig. That dynamic, late in the recruiting season, and yet we increased enrollment by over 30% and set a record enrollment. We sit somewhere in the ballpark of probably 335 kids.
And so are
New
there
kids.
incentives for enrollment for the people here at the college who are recruiting?
No, that's illegal.
Okay.
But I'm sure you can
Are,
find an article that writes that.
are LGBTQ students still welcomed at New College?
The question's a little offensive. A great liberal arts school, a great intellectual school, recognizes there's something special about human beings over all other species, and that is we have human dignity. And every single student will be treated with the utmost in human dignity. It's not just LGBTQ. I don't care what your walk of life is, what your income is, what your ideology is. Every single human being at a great liberal arts school deserves the utmost in human rights and human dignity. And we will absolutely do that. And if any student on any side engages in canceling and bullying and improper behavior of any sort, they will be disciplined and they will not probably find a home here.
And your response to the federal lawsuit that was filed by students and faculty claiming that New College is censoring academic freedom, what's your response to that lawsuit?
I think I've answered it like 8 ways over Sunday. There's no college that'll be more open to free speech than any other college. And that lawsuit, like many of the others, will find its way in the ash of the heap of ash in no time whatsoever. But I do have to get to the next meeting, Katie.
I appreciate anything response to this bid rigging investigation that took place
Also false. 2 years
under
ago,
your leadership
all 2 years
involving an
ago.
ally.
No, it wasn't. It involved people who worked for me. I was the leader at the
Right.
time. It
I'm
involved
saying
people who
under
worked for
your
me.
leadership
They both.
involving an ally.
I immediately investigated them. They immediately resigned. The chair of the board resigned. One of one of the people that were involved is now the Commissioner of Education of Arkansas. It's completely false, unfounded, zero concerns whatsoever.
Are we going to see you run for governor eventually of Florida?
I am hoping. You have me automatically as the president of New College, and now I'm running for governor. Honestly, I should hire you. Are you available?
I'm
You,
asking,
you think very
are we
highly of
going to
me. I
see you
appreciate
run
it. You're
for
going to see.
governor?
Hopefully, you'll see me be the president of New College here in a few months.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Katie.